Okay, any other announcements? Does anyone have anything they'd like to talk about in business today?
Oh, my Grape 2's coming back. Woohoo!
Okay, we'll move back to the deployment then. So Sean did get the
Good.
I imagine, and everything worked out.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited.
Okay. Perfect. What? Okay, perhaps not. Other than that, I feel like that's probably closed. Is Kung here today?
I don't see him yet, but he should be joining.
Okay. We can put off that update. All right. Bill, is there, wait, I should probably check if Triangle key is on. He's also not. Okay. So I suppose no update on this either. For a little bit.
Rachel, I told Gamal that his microphone wasn't working and he may have something to say.
Oh, okay.
Or he may not. Gamal, were you trying to get a comment in?
Yeah, you can also use the chat.
It looks like your internet is flaky. Your video is hanging up every now and then.
Fine.
No.
Gamal's, it's
Oh.
got to go a long distance. He's in Egypt.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, perhaps he did not have a comment then. Okay.
Okay.
Egypt, that's impressive. That's way cool.
Let's see.
John, when you learn CW, you'll be able to work DX.
That's
Thanks, David.
Oh,
Think
that
about
was
what
low.
time of the what
Oh,
time of day it is for him when he comes in on our Monday night sessions.
okay. I will tell. So Dr. Frizzell, the best the meeting for the NJIT crowd seems to be Monday morning.
Okay. Great.
I'm kind of partial to 10 a.m. if we can swing it, but if we can't, then 9 a.m.
What about 9:30?
Okay.
Can you send out a
That 9 a.m. would work better.
let's see. Actually 10 a.m. might be fine. I have a thing. Yeah, actually 10 a.m. might be better for me. Because I have a thing with the blind association that starts at noon. I need to be there a little early. So I just want to make sure I have enough time between that meeting and the blind association. So
yeah.
But
Well,
I think we should, because if we start at 10 a.m., that gives us an hour, and then even if it bleeds over a little bit, I still have the blind association thing doesn't start till noon. So 10 a.m. should be great.
I think Gareth Perry prefers 9 a.m. though. So Cold Deep was ambivalent. But
What is this working group?
science. Presumably. So more of a time to work on papers, science. I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe the data processing and packaging and things.
Well, I don't know if I'm important, but 9 o'clock doesn't work for me. 10 does.
Yeah. I really want to keep that meeting just focused on science. So I'd like to keep all the data processing and packaging and all the engineering work done in this meeting. And I want that other meeting to just, the only thing about that one is science paper writing.
Okay, then I would like to talk to, or I'd like to maybe add some time in the future of this meeting to revisit the HamSci package and what the user group for it actually looks like and what the use cases for it actually look like.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Let's say 9 a.m. then. Cautiously.
Okay, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. I may run a couple minutes late because I have to drop. I should be able to make it, but if I'm running in a few minutes late, it's because I have to drop Anthony off at kindergarten on Monday mornings, and so I'll be coming in right from the parking deck and trying to get my computer booted.
We could probably push it to 9:15 without too much complaint.
That might be better.
I don't want to be on a weird schedule, but it's also I mean, I think no one would complain if it was short, if we're gonna, as long as we're gonna have the meeting every week. So if run.
And what's wrong with Friday?
I think NJIT, they typically have a science meeting on Friday for their team. That's
Right. That works. Any other questions, comments? I don't think I have a full list of people who's gave me for the science meeting to start. So did you want to send an email about this, or I can just try to round up as many emails as I have?
You have you've got the original list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you could do that and generate a calendar invite, and you can use the same, you can actually use the same link potentially, or
Actually, I think I might have everything else on here. Okay.
Gamal, we're getting bleed through your microphone.
Yeah, I don't know whether you can hear me or not.
Now you're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm now clear.
You are clear, very clear. Sounds good.
Okay, that's really nice. Okay, I should mute myself. I'm just inquiring that is that meeting also enrolling some engineers, some engineering, not only science.
That is fair. I believe you're on the list though.
Yes.
That Brazil sent me for people to meet.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I thought it's a different one because it only includes for scientists and I'm an engineer. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm being in a noisy environment. I'm in the bus right now, going back from home, going back to home from work. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns about that? Okay. If not, is there any update on the Grape antenna project? Hang on.
I'm actually here, and
Cool beans.
it's a little early for me in California, so it's
Okay.
we continue to evaluate antennas. We saw the discussion about this. I have obtained these now, arrived from JLPCV. These are the field probe antennas that we can use for qualifying sites and finding the optimal location for an antenna at an individual site. So this is Glenn N6GN's field probe design. So you need to, with that, you need a tiny SA Ultra like one of these, ideally at least. You don't have to have it, but this is a tiny SA Ultra. And with this, you can go and survey a site to determine the best location and orientation of your antenna system. So I have it assembled. I have 4 more of these that I'm going to assemble up and ship out to the people who have expressed interest in them. So it seems to me that this may be, of course, the most important one is going to go to Michael Howen to help him at the antenna test farm. But it just seems like this is a pretty important and useful tool if we're going to try to optimize and make the installation and deployment of the antenna systems in the next year.
Are those for sale?
I made 5 of them.
Okay.
I can order. Yeah, now that I know that I can make it, I can order another hat. I can order them. They're about. They end up costing me. The antenna systems costs about $75. Um, and and then of course you need the tiny SA to go with it. So 135 for that, the Ultra version. So if one's going to go to Michael. David has expressed an interest previously, so I have one for him. And I have to remember 1 or 2 other people. So the ones I have, I think are all called for, but if I thought what I do is wait and make sure that everybody, Michael and others who get them, find them useful. And then we can, it's now that I've been through the process with JLPCB, I can order some more. And for those who are interested, I mean, they work quite well as a dipole, for general purpose listening. It's just that they're not designed, mechanically for that. And also they're, as you, I think, would have noted, they have a unbalanced output. And Glenn is working on another design, which would be, I think, he intended for applications like ours. It's a vertical active dipole, but it has a balanced feed. So you use Cat5 to feed it, and you get power from this one is battery powered, and that design is powered over the Cat5 cable, and its performance already is really quite remarkable. In the sense of especially in its immunity to low pickup of noise. It's fully balanced and he's measured 50 dB of common mode rejection at 30 megahertz. No transformers. It goes from DC to, well, at least 30 megahertz and probably more like through 6 meters. So it's quite an exceptional design, but it's months away from being to the state of this where I can just go order them up. But that antenna is, I think, would be a marvelous candidate. He has identified a fiberglass pole and auger that goes in the ground that you can buy off of Amazon, and the resulting system is freestanding and has just extraordinary sensitivity. So I look forward to that one. But in the meantime, I think there's next item is we are looking into how we might collaborate with the ENAMS project, the noise measurement project that is sponsored by the ITU and the German radio club. And they have a database of noise. I think I may have mentioned this last week, and I'm hoping that we can contribute to it. Unfortunately, it may be that the ITU requires that we have their antenna, and their antenna Glenn has published, I mean, Gwen has just did an analysis, and their antenna is slightly worse than ours. Than the in terms of its noise versus frequency sensitivity. Gwen showed a correspondence. Carl KL7A KA7L, who I think participates here, has one of those ENAM antennas. And Gwen published a comparison of its noise level measurements with those from Michael's DX Engineering. And we could see how the DX Engineering had even slightly wider diurnal noise variations, which suggests that it's even better, more sensitive. It isn't referenced the way the ENAM's one is, vertical. So that's an area that I'm investigating and consulting with Professor Harche about. But in the meantime, we have, I think, pretty good examples running at the engineering certainly is a candidate, and it's running for at Michael's quite well. So I don't think he's with us. I don't know. Didn't see that. But if we want to have, I see you'd put on this, maybe we should have a meeting about antennas. I haven't organized one yet. And I would want Michael to participate. So his availability, which is kind of variable because of his work schedule, we need to talk to him about establishing a time. Anyway, I have some candidate sites that come up in Antarctica. I met with Jerry. Was introduced to me by I don't know his call sign. He's in the UK, but he's travels extensively for work to the Antarctic research stations, and has contacts and friends across the South Atlantic in the South Sandwich Islands and South Georgia and Falklands. So we're looking to see if we couldn't put together two Whisper Demon Grape systems. I don't know about the magnetometer, but the systems could go into the two Australian to Antarctic research stations in the next couple months, and the three island stations, South Atlantic island stations. That's turned into a little bit of a fire drill for me because it's summertime down there. And we also have a system going through Professor Harche. We're going to put a system in at the German Neumayer Antarctic Grape Station. So, Antarctic Research Station. So we could have quite a few. I know Nathaniel has a project underway to put receive sites and also at 3 South Antarctic station. So
let me just jump in here really quickly.
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize, I think this is an amazing opportunity. We're going to be able to get Whisper Demon, Grape, and I guess now ENAM's data station set up at like a whole network of Antarctic stations. So what was the total number of stations you said, Rob?
I was thinking of 5, the 3 in the South Atlantic Islands and 2 at the Australian stations. Jerry said that he could approach the British Antarctic group, but he says they're so bureaucratic. So he thinks it could take forever to get through the approval process.
Well, what we can do is we can. Why don't you have them start reaching out to the BIS, because even if it does take forever, forever will be shorter if we start now than later.
Yeah.
And through NJIT and here we have access to South Pole, McMurdo, and Palmer. But again, there's a bureaucratic process to that too. So the earliest we'd be able to send things down is next October, and it wouldn't get deployed until like November or January. That's the earliest. It may also be a year later, but I think if we get these things in motion, I think this is a really cool opportunity to get these stations and really improve our Southern Hemisphere Antarctic coverage.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if we can be of help working with the British station, but we flew balloons from Pally Bay, so we know people there
I
and
think
how to work with
I
them.
think you probably can be, David. In fact, so maybe we should give a little more history of this. David McGaw's PI, Jim LaBelle, has a number of antennas and radio science instruments down in Antarctica that he's managed for many years. And as Jim is retiring, he's passing those facilities onto myself and NJIT and for us. So there's actually some stuff down there already. I think what we're going to have to do is we'll really want to have yet another meeting, but we'll have to have a special meeting where we get Gareth and Hyomin, myself, Rob Robinette, David McGaw, Jim LaBelle, and anyone else who's interested in this all on and talk about the logistics for the U.S. stations.
Yeah, it's the other person I work for, Robin Millen, that we have flown balloons with. So
yes,
she has contacts with the British station.
Yeah. So I think, Rachel, that number, it's five stations from Rob Robinette plus 3 stations from us. So that's at least 8 stations.
And just to put a point on that, Nathaniel, she's of course the one that's connected with Movie.
Exactly. Yes.
No, it's
all of these, there is that one, I mean, it's all timely, but there's a very timely element here, which is that Jerry will be visiting the headquarters of the Australian Antarctic Research Department, whatever, on October 29th. And what he'd asked for is that to have, it would be a presentation or a no more than 1 page, but that outlined the sponsors, the goals of the projects, the sponsors, the and what the installation would look like. What to, and so Gary sent me a couple of paragraphs that I think satisfies the goals and sponsors and goals part of it, but I don't think we have like a diagram and a photo of what an installation looks like. And I need that same thing to make a proposal to the National Park Service for an installation at KPH. So I think that for me, a very timely thing is to put together this 1-page description, installation description, project and, description and installation. For presentation to all these various approval bodies. So, but the first one that needs to get it to is the Australians in a couple of weeks, because there's a narrow window. I could get Jerry the equipment, assemble it. I would might even steal, borrow equipment from KPH in order to send the timely as the 2 Antarctic stations, because to get equipment there, it needs to be the summertime. If we don't get it to him by December, then we miss a year, and there seems like no other barriers. He thinks it's very likely it will help them, and this may be true at other Antarctic research stations, that the operators of those stations need to remove any equipment that isn't in use per the Antarctic treaties. And the radio antenna systems at these Australian sites are no longer in use. So it's going to cost them to remove them. And they're apparently, the antennas are there and functional, so not being used by anybody. So Jerry thinks it's very likely they would be eager for this, to have this installed and running. So there you are. That's why. So again, I need the proposal. So I'm, if that would be the first order of business and for me in the Antarctic deployment group we're talking about here.
I have a question.
Yes.
Um, I was approached by a German guy regarding getting a reverse beacon network node installed at DP1 POL, which is a German Antarctic base. And it occurs to me that the reverse beacon nodes could very easily split off the receive signal and run that as a Grape-like system to collect information, although I don't know what everybody's antennas are. And the reverse beacon network node folks could probably be brought into this network to some degree. So I would think about that, and if I hear any more from my German contact about that, I'll get them in touch with you regarding the possibility of also taking a Grape receiver down there, because they already have, like you say, they already have the antennas, and it should be no problem.
Yeah, Michael has described to me that I don't know if there's more than one research station. This is the Neumar, which is operating online and reporting as DP0GBN. And Michael described to me they have a main facility and then a remote receive site where they have a couple of antennas deployed in a RF distribution network. So at that particular installation, the RF is already present, and that may be what Michael is proposing to us is we just take a feed off of their. I know he's proposing take a feed off their existing receive antenna network. They have two antennas, so it would be we might need to send them well, in fact, he's taking two RX888s down to him, so down there. So we'll have actually a dual receive system down at down in southern at the DPN receive stage. So anyway, there's a lot going on there. The timely thing for me, at least, the most timely, is getting this proposal so that Jerry can get approval for Australia, and we need to do that in the next couple of weeks. And then the next most timely is to get some equipment that's going to Michael, so he can take it down and install the stuff in Antarctica at their Nomair station. He's going down in January. So Paul and I are working on assembling that system. Paul is shipping a transmitter, a Whisper Sonde is going down there, and with antennas and everything. So we had a meeting, online meeting with Michael and Felix. I don't know Felix's call, but anyway, they're highly interested. We're not pushing them on this is something they want to be doing. So that's my activities on this subject. I think is and if we report back and this field probe proves useful to others and Michael and others, then I'll see about placing another order, getting another shipment. It's once you do it one time, it's really easy. I just have to solder the battery leads for the 9-volt battery. That's the only assembly that I need to do on them. Oh, okay. Any questions? No.
I just saw something that said they have Whisper on the air there.
They do.
Okay.
They have they do. So this would be they're have a transmitter and receiver. They're using a ZACTAC, so it's not GPS calibrated, and of course it's band scanning.
I see.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of the things, one of the things that's really fantastic about this Whisper Daemon architecture is it really does basically address what we really wanted the Tangerine SDR to do, or what kind of my vision was, which is something that could be able to do Whisper and uh, Grape. And it looks like we're going to now do the enams measurements. And there's opportunities to implement future other things on there. Like it might be possible to integrate an RBN receiver right into the Whisper Daemon package, a skimmer built right in. So you have one SDR system to basically cover all of these things. And if we get these down at these stations, I think it's tremendously powerful that, over time we can roll out new software updates to provide new data products. And Rob and his team have really done a fantastic job, carefully paying attention to calibration of, how to measure noise, paying attention to the GPS disciplining and everything else. So I think it's a really, really great thing.
Yeah, there are two comments I would have on the enams side of it and the noise measurements. Is that first, enams, if they're a lower sensitivity antenna, that actually throttles us. We may want to look into how we might have a more sensitive antenna that's otherwise calibrated to report in the same units. The other part is that I'm interested in noise coming from above, as in a rheometer system. And these vertical E-field antennas are, of course, totally insensitive to straight overhead. So that's all part of what I'm looking at in terms of what we do for antennas.
Yeah, I think now that sort of thing, I think you bring up really valid points, David. And I think there are going to be some either compromises that have to be made, or some situations where it's like, okay, for different experiments, we just really do need different hardware. So, in that case,
that also feeds into our concept of the next gen personal space weather station being multi-channel. So we don't have to restrict ourselves to a single antenna.
Which I think that is a really, really good goal or requirement to have for the new system.
Well, I think that so far there's the ARC 888 in its modified form seems to satisfy, be able to achieve all of the goals for a single antenna system.
Yeah.
And but yes, there's other dimensions of radio reception that require multiple channels, and I think that that's become the major focus of the um, Clementine. I forgot whatever our SDR project is. I think we've been kind of waiting for the USB interface chip to become available that would allow support more than one ARC 888. And apparently, according to Dave on the Monday night call, that chip may become available now at last, 10 gigabit per second chip. So it seems like that's been a gating problem for the multi-channel 888 architecture, and that may be going away. But I would love to have even a single channel that we receiver like the 888, because we just still struggle. We don't know what's going on inside of that 888 at times, and it's hard to we just don't know the provenance of them. We don't even have a schematic, so that's I hope we can make some progress on the receiver design of our own multi-channel. And Glenn has a polarimeter antenna system active, basically logically two of these field probes cross polarized, And Glenn is very interested in such measurements. So that at least two, and I think Bill Lyles has pointed out 3 dimensions, having a XYZ antenna system, active antenna system, would open up detection of a much wider range of radio transmission phenomenon. So I hope that project could happen, but of course we need to get Phil Karn to work with us on enhancing his K9Q radio to handle and synchronize the streams coming from three antennas. But I think Phil will be interested, and I'll try to incentivize him. I'm giving Phil a tour of KFS this morning. He's driving up to the on his way up to the convention. The Pacific Con Ham Convention is being held this weekend in San Ramon, near San Francisco, California. So Phil was going up, and he wanted to see the site where he does a lot of his debugging on the servers there at that site. So I'm going to meet him and give him a tour, which, it's basically one rack of SDR. So there's not a lot there, but it is very useful to a wide range of people. So. Okay. Any other questions? I hope I think it was you, David, who's pointed out the need for vertical and interest in vertical. So that's my. I think we're gated by the receiver hardware, not by anything else in the
point. I sent a note to let's see, who did I send that to? I can't remember. David, I think. Well, anyway, I can't remember. About an antenna that was designed, that was contributed to the antenna book through the Society for Amateur Radio Astronomy. And it was developed by a guy named David Whittam. And it's a hemispherical receive that he's got set up from something like 10 to 20 megahertz up into the VHF, UHF range. And so it's designed to receive over a wide range of vertical angles. And I asked him if that design could be extended down into the lower HF and upper MF range for use as a reverse beacon network node. And he said it works there already. They just didn't characterize it as such because there's not much interest in radio astronomy at 80 meters. So take a look at that. It's in the new ARRL antenna book chapter on receiving antennas. And there is a big new section on radio astronomy antennas, and that's where it is. So anyway, have a look. I sent it to Gary, I think is who I sent it to, and as possible use as an RBN antenna. Back to net.
Yeah, a number of us got copied on that board.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for passing that along. Yeah. Oh, Ward, maybe you're one that can ask on this. Are we able to extract that and pass it on our website? Or I mean, on our email list?
Oh, you mean, are you allowed?
Is it copyrighted material that we should be?
Well, as long as you don't distribute this stuff,
right.
As long as you don't sell it or post it as your work or something like that, and clearly identify it as a reprint. And I think Nathaniel could probably jump in on that. The fair use rules are it's okay to print out a few pages as a PDF and send that to a focus group, but you just can't distribute it widely as your own work or
right.
Definitely definitely not sell
And
it.
properly attributed, of course.
Yeah, you would have to.
Yeah.
you'd
Okay.
have to put that up at the top. So
Yeah, had thought to do that, but I wanted to ask first.
as far as I know, it's okay, and it was all contributed by SARA themselves. Anyway, there is an extensive version of that material in the additional material that comes with the antenna book. It's the downloadable package, and it was like a 50 or 60 page document, and it has a lot more stuff in it. So get that out of your antenna book package and read that. So it's good stuff.
It's a pretty impressive antenna itself. It's pyramidal, four lobe antenna designed for radio astronomy, and I think it's also used for ionosonts.
Yep, you can use it for any receiving application in low VHF and HF. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's kind of cross dipoles, but very highly modified.
It did for RBN support. As I understand it, the RBN receiver system has a piece of decoding software, but it is a Windows only application. Is that because that wouldn't easily be translated? It would have to work from source in order to incorporate that into Whisper Demon. Is that my understanding correct on that?
Let's see, how does that work? The actual SDR package runs on stuff like the red Pitaya is what we're currently sending out. That's definitely not a Windows system, but that's the SDR stuff. Then
I operate one of these systems, and my understanding is, yes, that is true. There's a Windows CW skimmer program that's written by Alex Coplius. And it's written, I believe he wrote it in Delphi. And so I think it's only compilable on Windows. And that's also not free software. So he does ask for a registration fee for people who use that. So there'd be a certain amount, we would have to approach Alex and see if this could be negotiated, and if that's the route we want to go down. But I do think that is probably, between the not free software and the fact that it's only on Windows and it's currently written in Delphi, I think those are all three difficult points to making that work. And that's just the CW decoding software. Then there's the CW, the skimmer aggregator, the RBN aggregator software. That might be written by Pete Smith. I forget who wrote that exactly. But that is also a piece of Windows software. So you need to get an RBN skimmer running, you need two pieces of software. One is the actual CW skimmer from Alex Coplius, and the second piece of Windows software you need is the RBN aggregator software that's put out for free by the RBN team.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty steep hill to climb to get RBN support into the Whisper Demon world. So
yeah.
Well, a correction on that. You can run the SDR package runs completely separately of the PC. I should send you a copy of the block diagram for what an RBN node kind of looks like.
You're right. The SDR code is separate, and that runs on the red Pitaya. But the things that make it a CW skimmer.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what I think what should happen here is, I don't know, maybe maybe I could, maybe Ward could. I think someone perhaps should approach the RBN team and say, we're interested in doing this, but these are kind of the challenges we face. And, maybe we can encourage that team to port some things to Linux or make things more open, because, if we say, hey, look, if you do this, we'll be able to get it deployed to 8 Antarctic stations, and we're going to be able to dramatically improve the RBN coverage, that may be something that's really attractive to them. So maybe they would be willing to do some of that development.
I will talk to Pete Smith, let's see, W4ZR, who's been very helpful with getting the RBNs configured. Yeah, what I'm thinking here is the SDR is a standalone package that can stream data to any application. It streams it over a network. So if you want to run PC code and do a CW skimmer, that's fine. But if you have a different app that can also tap into that IQ data stream, then you can do anything you want with it, whether it's Linux or Windows or custom code. But anyway, I'll talk to Pete to make this connection between the two teams, and let's see where it goes.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I mean, the architecture of Whisper Daemon is very similar. Is that the SDR component of it, which is the hardware and Phil's K9Q radio software, outputs multicast streams for each of the decoded channels that's been configured for. So those streams are then multicast, the multicast streams are available to any device that's on the LAN, as long as the LAN is multicast enabled. And that's how I run, I have got 4 antennas, 4 ARCs, 888s at KFS. And that's, and I have one server, Whisper Daemon server, that processes the streams that come in across the LAN, processes them and extract the Whisper spots and the Grape data. Well, the Grape data I do individually. So there's four separate Grape reports at KFS, one for each of the 4 antennas. But for Whisper spot recording and other such things, I create one upload package, which is the union of of all of the spots decoded by all the antennas, and I upload only the best, highest quality SNR for any one beacon spot. So that we've got an architecture. We could have Windows. You could put a little Windows computer on there and probably hopefully it would know how to pick up a multicast stream and decode it. They're available and already at most of the antennas are being decoded and has 40 to 50 streams already being decoded. So we don't listen to just Whisper bands. There's FT4 and FT8 that's being listened to. Those are separate bands, and of course the Grape the time bands. So by the time we get through all of that, there's usually about 50 decodings being done by Radio D on any one Whisper Daemon server. So adding another 8 or 10 would not make much difference to the total CPU burden on the Whisper Daemon servers. It's pretty small. Okay.
Any other discussion? Questions, comments, or concerns?
Okay.
Gary, did you have any updates?
No, maybe Bill Blackwell might. I know I've got all the information for the 5 Grape 1 DRFs to go out. Oh, and I think they're probably waiting for Bill Engelkey to return to get the keys and that sort of stuff out of the U of A, because they need that stuff to configure the stations before they can send them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we're just waiting on Bill to get back and give us the token values for the stations and the instrument ID, and then we'll start testing and shipping out those Grape 1 DRF systems. There's 5 of them that Bob has.
So that raises the point when Bill told me that the other day, just something to think of as our systems get bigger and more sophisticated and more activity, having a single point of contact for them is probably not the best plan. I mean, it'd be great if somebody had a backup to be able to get into these systems or to query them or whatnot. So just a thought.
Right.
For the Grape stations, I imagine.
Yeah, I had a question, Nathaniel. You know, we're setting up whisper demon stations for you and USR, and we'll give them your call signs. But as we deploy these next year, we need to figure out who's in charge. We need to create a new station ID or individual stations and device IDs for these. And I'm wondering who's going to manage that, and how are we going to how do we want to identify these stations and make sure that that they'll be reporting to WhisperNet, so they need some kind of a call sign. That it might make sense to come up with a methodology of HAMSI, reporter HAMSI 1, HAMSI 2. I don't, and who's going to manage the account on the personal weather station server and assign these stations that we send out need to have individual accounts or places to report their data on Bill's server.
I think in terms of ID assignments, I think, well, the first preference for me would be, if it's going to a ham radio operator, it should have their call sign on it. I don't know if we want to come up with some sort of additional tag on there that specifies like it's a station that's provided by the grant, or better managed than like one of these standard stations. I think the process of assigning those IDs can be done jointly by Gary and by Bill Engelke, the Alabama team. Because Gary, you are in the process of identifying which stations are going to receive systems. Is that correct?
Yeah, that task is definitely on my plate.
Okay. So as you're making that spreadsheet, would it make sense for you to coordinate with Bill Engelke what sort of identifiers they are given when they go into when they get registered into Bill's database?
Quite possibly. Is this also a Christina Collins task as a COS for the new grant? Should she be involved?
It could be, yeah. So Christina is the chief operations scientist for the new grant, so maybe it would fall under her.
Or at least make sure she's got input, obviously.
Yeah. Maybe we can add that, Rachel, perhaps we can add that to an agenda item for a future meeting, next week's meeting, and maybe we can get Christina on here and we can have a better discussion about who gets that responsibility.
Okay. Yeah, and then Christine is also one of the main use cases for the Grape package, right?
Yes.
Do you still use the HAMSI personal space weather package a lot?
I haven't been using it significantly. I don't have. It's getting close to 11 o'clock, so I think this might also be something that we should.
I'm just trying to figure out the main people as I should talk to about, just because it came up a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, I think Christina would be the main person.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, I think Christina would be the main person. I don't have a particularly strong feeling in terms of what direction that should be developed at this point. I think it should be very useful to the people who are actively writing papers and trying to get graduate degrees.
fair. I would like to see it at least as generalized as PyDarn though, and right now I think it is hyper specific.
Right, right.
But that's
I would support that.
I'm just trying to figure out who I would offend by restructuring the use case in that package a little bit.
I mean, I would definitely support it being more generalized, and you know, the more things that we can do that make it useful to as many of the community members as possible, I think the better. As long as it's useful enough. So.
Beans.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got.
Okay, I think I have to run, but I think Jamal, he sent me a message. And Jamal, when you're trying to say something, you should speak up to everybody. Don't just message me.
Oh, sorry. I just felt that sending message to everyone is like spamming everyone. I was afraid of this doing kind of noise, making noise. So I was afraid of doing noise. So I just wanted to be point to point.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Custom from site.
Did you have anything to say about the meeting time, or was it good?
For me, yes,
Yeah.
it's Monday, 9:30 a.m., right?
Yes.
It is. I'm 7 hours ahead. So this is
in progress.
This is what. Just four. This one. Okay, no problem. I'm just asking about if something happened about the schedule. Can we change it temporarily, or this will be fixed forever?
I think it's going to be pretty fixed because we have our schedules are, at least my schedule is extremely complicated, and I know a number of other people on this also have extremely complicated schedules. So I think once we get this set, I think that's going to be where it is.
Yeah, I would like to put in a request for 10 a.m. once again. 9 a.m. really does not work for me, and I am interested in the science, especially since we're doing AM Doppler. But I guess maybe it's up to Gareth.
Yeah, I think we'll have to. I think we really need to see where Gareth and Kuldeep are on this, and I think we do have to prioritize Gareth and Kuldeep because they're officially funded on the grant, so we really need to make sure that.
Kuldeep didn't have a strong preference. He wanted Monday, but I can.
Yeah. If Gareth can do 10 a.m., then 10 a.m. is fine with me. But I think we do have to, or do the 9:30 thing. But I do think we need to make sure that Gareth is part of this.
Do it as 9:30 and then split the difference. Of course, then we would have possibly people like leaving the meeting or starting the meeting halfway through.
Yeah.
So it all kind of depends on our not sure.
Why don't you see how strongly Gareth is about the 9 a.m. and if he can do 10 a.m. great. If not, see how because David's also able to reach out to us. He's able to be on the Thursday afternoon telecons as well. So
can everyone
tricky
do, if we only shifted it by a bit, could everyone here do 9:30?
Yes, I can.
I would come in late and have something till 10.
Okay.
I need to run because I have to grab lunch before students come talk to me. So yes. I'll see everyone this afternoon. Thank you.